Welcome everybody to UFO Man Live number 27. Tonight I expected a couple more people on the panel, but they had other things to attend to. So tonight it's just going to be myself and my guest, Tommy Highway. Tommy, introduce yourself.
Hi, folks. I'm Tommy Highway. I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and Tim, thanks for having me as always. My name is Tommy Highway, guys. I'm a network engineer, a former government employee. I'm also an author. Had some experiences that were so moving that I had to actually write a book about them. And so we're actually here to get to the truth, and hopefully when we all put our little pieces of the puzzle together, we'll come up with a better picture than we all have as one.
Right. My name is Tim. I'm also known as UFO Man. And hey, we got one more person on the panel. Here we go. This is KJ from KJ Paranormal Down Under. Can you hear me, KJ?
I sure can. Tim, how are you today?
Good. Good to see you.
Sorry, you caught me right in the middle of a cigarette.
That's okay. You're having kind of a delay in your speech with your mouth.
It's probably just my computer because it's a piece of. Oh, I'm going to throw it out the window in a minute.
Okay.
We should be good.
Okay. Anyways, tonight we're going to discuss a couple of things. One of the things that I wanted to bring up tonight's live stream was that Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, the one who created the ATIP program, the AATIP program, that did the research for several years in the Pentagon with researching UFOs and UFO crash debris, has recently changed his story. He had originally quoted with the New York Times that we had off-world vehicles and crashed debris in U.S. hands. Well, recently he changed his story, and I do have a report on that. But before I play the report, I want to play a video called Confirmed: UFO crash debris in U.S. hands in 1947 from Roswell, New Mexico, Aztec, New Mexico, and one that you don't hear about too often, St. Augustine, New Mexico. Okay, before I play that, let's see. I got to get that set up here. Okay, here's the video on that. Oh, I got to stop a second. Okay, sorry about that, folks. I'm getting there. Okay, here we go.
In essence, it was very simple to the effect that we had in our possession a flying saucer. It was found on a ranch up north of Roswell. It was being flown to General Ramey's office, that being the next higher command. That was the 8th Air Force. And that was the end of it. I meant that they put all the hunks and pieces in I think it was at that time, C-54 aircraft that they loaded up primarily with the material, and that airplane was flown. The material was not flown. That was pretty well orchestrated. I think the thought of handling it that way came down from Washington through channels, and we were told that we were all wrong, that it was just a weather balloon. That was the only thing that I think we heard was, well, that's the end of that story. Shouldn't have printed all that to start with. And, this type of thing. These things happen when you've got a whole bunch of rank going way above you, and you're just a little first lieutenant down on the bottom of the pile. There was lots and lots of cover-up. I can't verify that. My sincere feeling is that The thing was something from outer space, and we decided that, I say we, the military decided that our public may not accept it very graciously. Something coming from outer space and hitting our own Earth, it's a little bit hard to get a lot of the people to accept it.
None of the materials that we picked up weighed anything. Looked like it was weightless. You couldn't feel that you had anything in your hands. I found one piece of metal, what looked like metal anyway. It was not flexible, but it was as thin as a foil of a pack of cigarettes. It was that thin. One of my boys told me, he said, there's something unusual here. He said, I tried to make a dent in this metal. He said, you can't bend it. You can't make a mark on it. He said, I took a sledgehammer and whammed it. I put it on the ground and whammed it. The sledgehammer bounced off of it. He told me not to say anything. He says, I'll handle it from now on. And that's exactly what he did. When he came out, he said, he told the press that was there, he said, that was nothing but a weather balloon, crashed weather balloon. It was definitely not a weather balloon. And it was an aircraft. So what it could have been, I wouldn't know. I still don't know.
They took pictures, of course. They had a whole flock of microphones there. They wanted me they wanted some comments from me, but I wasn't at liberty to do that. So all I could do is keep my mouth shut. And General Ramey is the one who discussed, told the newspapers, the newsmen, what it was and to forget about it. It was nothing more than a weather observation balloon. Of course, which we both knew differently. But the thing about that got me is that you couldn't even bend it, you couldn't dent it, even with a sledgehammer would bounce off of it. So I knew that I had never seen anything like that before. And as of now, I don't know what it was. It was not anything from this earth that I'm quite sure of.
Okay. Gotta say that Tommy Highway has some more information about this crash. Those pieces of debris that I was showing in the video were from the St. Augustine, New Mexico crash, a little known crash that isn't spoken of too often. Tommy, can you tell us a little bit about that?
I sure can. This is actually a very interesting crash. And just like Tim said, it's one of these that they actually sort of swept under the rug, if you will. What happened, basically, they think what happened, the theory is that an actual alien craft collided with a small plane, okay? And brought, of course, it disintegrated the plane and brought the alien spacecraft down. Now, it landed just inside of Mexico. So basically what happened is, of course, we saw that on radar and all that, and we dispatched a military team to go out and take a look at it. By the time our people arrived, they found that the Mexican military had already sent some kind of a force out there to check this thing out. Only problem is all these guys were dead. They didn't have any obvious wounds or anything like that. They were just laying there slumped over dead. All right. Now, they walk up to this craft, and the only thing that the damage that's on this particular craft supposedly is there's a dent on it, and it's got a small porthole that happens to be broken out, which guys in a hazmat suit apparently walked up to it and looked in there, and they saw a creature or something in there slumped over, okay, like it was dead too. So at that point, they immediately grabbed this craft in a very hasty fashion, as fast as they could, and flew it out of there, or got it out of there however they could, and got it back over into the American side of things. And they did so in such a hasty fashion that it's quite possible that they could have left some sort of debris behind, because, they didn't have a whole lot of time to work with that. The Mexican government, once they lost contact with their force, they're going to send more pretty quick, right?
Right. What do you think about that, KJ?
Well, I actually remember my dad talking about it because he was a young fella in 1942, and It's a big cover up, obviously. Obviously, something. It wasn't. I've heard that it was a weather balloon, and I've heard, thousands of things. According to my dad, and my dad was never a man to lie to me, he said to me there was definitely something there that the United States government was hiding from the rest of the world. Definitely.
Right, right. And at that St. Augustine crash, where the portal was busted out, they think that the beam that I showed, let's see if I can bring it up. The beam that I showed, this one, that has a triangle with a circle in the middle, is actually from that portal, that porthole that broke out. They think that this is some kind of, when pieces of metal are marked, when they build things.
Forging marks.
It might be one of those marks. Not actual writing, but one of those marks. But this is from the St. Augustine crash. Now,
I know
another
that mark. Sorry. I have that mark on my thigh.
Uh-oh. So maybe you have a connection to the same group of beings that were flying that crash. Now,
Yes,
here
my
is a
cousin has it
picture.
too.
The picture that I showed earlier with the strip with the holes in it were also discovered. And that piece of metal that he was referring to that was as thin as tin foil in a cigarette pack is right here down below.
Mm-hmm.
It's this one. This one down below. And they couldn't dent it with a sledgehammer. The sledgehammer would bounce off of it. And back in 1947, we didn't have metal of that kind. I think we do now, but we did not then.
Newtonian metal is brand new technology.
Right, it was
Yes.
brand new. Here's another piece that was found at St. Augustine. It shows a honeycombed nature and what looks to me like wiring running through it. You'll see it.
Sure
This
does.
was found at St. Augustine. Very interesting piece. It does show and confirm that we indeed do have crash debris from flying vehicles. Whether they're off-world, can't verify that, but it appears to be that they are. So what with Tommy saying that there was a being on the inside of the craft slumped over, obviously they had to be off-world. So we do have crash debris. There is a definite, that is a definite fact. Okay, what I want to play is the news article that came out recently. It was a news report involving an interview with Senator Majority Leader Harry Reid, and you need to hear what he says. And you kind of need to read between the lines when you listen, because it indicates how he's changed his point of view. Oops, sorry about the commercial. I'm going to work that problem out this week, and when I get it corrected, we won't have commercials anymore. Here we go.
Well, has the U.S. government been hiding pieces from crashed UFOs? That's the question being asked because of a blockbuster story published in the New York Times.
The Times acknowledged what our I-Team has reported for the past few years, namely that a secret Pentagon study looking into UFOs is still underway after all. But the newspaper story drew a rebuke from one of the sources it quoted, former Nevada Senator Harry Reid. George Knapp has this exclusive story.
You've said about you don't think it's little green men, and we had a lot of speculation about where these vehicles are from. They're far more advanced than anything known to us. Is it possible that there's no one who knows the ultimate answer? What the
I
truth
think
is?
now, and the reason I'm so terribly interested in this, because I don't think no one has the answers.
Former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid has spoken with us about UFO issues more times than with any other media organization on and off the record. And in each of those exchanges, we've asked about the persistent stories of crashed saucers, recovered materials, dark secrets, the same rumors that started with the famous Roswell incident in 1947 and which resurfaced in 1989 with our news reports about alleged alien technology stashed in the Nevada desert near Area 51. On the same day that Bob Lazar's tale was unveiled to the world, Reid told us this in a live interview.
Well, you know, George, I'll have to look at this. I have heard about this exact story. I've heard about it as kind of a preview of your program. I'm visiting with you once before. I'm anxious to get the facts. I think it's something we should look into.
Over the years, Reid visited Area 51 several times, but whatever he saw out there, he's never commented. The latest report from the New York Times has generated a worldwide wave of media coverage and public interest. The Times confirmed what we've reported since 2017, that contrary to the Pentagon statements, a secret study of UFOs, or as they're now called, UAPs, is ongoing. Centered, the Times says, inside naval intelligence. A UAP task force is studying reports, videos, and sensor data from recent encounters between U.S. warplanes and advanced craft of unknown origin.
We're going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.
The Times story also focused on a more controversial angle, so-called crash retrievals, that is, exotic materials of unknown origin. The Times quotes Reid as telling the paper that he came to the conclusion that there were reports of actual materials the government and private sector had in their possession. The same article quoted astrophysicist Dr. Eric Davis, who was a consultant to OSAP, the once secret UFO study initiated by Reid and based in Las Vegas. Davis told the Times he has briefed both the Pentagon and Congress about retrievals of off-world vehicles not made on this Earth. Reid staffers reacted to the Times story by demanding a correction, which the Times provided. But the reporters say they still stand by the story and the quote from Reid. Reid then fired off a pointed message on social media reiterating that he has no knowledge of and never suggested that the government has debris from flying saucers or other worlds.
I am interested in science.
In previous statements, Reid has stressed that UFOs do not equate to aliens. His primary concern has been national security, specifically whether Russia or China might be ahead of us in mastering advanced technology. In 2009, Reid tried to create a special access program intended to interact with other secret programs that may or may not have additional evidence or materials related to the UFO mystery.
One reason I did that is there's always this rumor, some people say that there are some public corporations that have materials that we should look at. Now, I wanted to make sure that that was valid or not valid, but I couldn't get, Defense Department wouldn't approve it.
What do you think of that? Do you think somebody's got pieces or a craft, or did you, and you ever?
But I don't know, George. I don't know why they wouldn't want to put this to sleep. Unless there's something to it I don't understand, but that's why.
While the Times stands by its reporting, persons close to Reid say the senator feels his comments were unfairly characterized. George Knapp, 8 News Now.
Senator Reid hasn't made any public comment about the Times story since it came out days ago, but tonight he provided this exclusive statement to the I-Team. For me, this has never been about proving other worlds exist. Thousands upon thousands of people have reported seeing unidentified aerial phenomena. Unidentified doesn't mean otherworldly, it means of an unknown origin. I want to find out what this is, where it's from, what it means to our national security.
Okay, what do you think about that, Tommy?
Well, I think Reid changed his story is what I think. I think that they got to him.
Yeah.
I think that, for years and years, the guy was letting out small bits of information because he's been a part of the House Intelligence Committee and things like that for, decades. And I think that all of a sudden now that he's become retired and more vocal, and all of a sudden now he's backtracking. Why is he doing that? I mean,
right, I think he's been pressured.
I think so too, because I mean he's retired now. He's no longer running for office. He's on death's door. Let's be honest. The guy's got nothing to lose. Yet all of a sudden, for whatever reason, he's pulling back. Why?
What do you think, KJ?
I think he's lying. In the first statement, I'm pretty good with body, and you know my gift. And
Right.
in the first statement, he was telling the truth. In the second statement, if you notice, he kept going To me, that's like that's a lie. He's
It's
lying.
a tell.
He's
It's a tell.
yeah, absolutely. And before he was looking direct at the guy at the camera, and then this last interview, he's kept dropping his eyes and moving his eyes that way. So
Right.
he has.
Right.
Someone has gotten to him with like maybe threats to his family. I don't know, but he's like it's a total backflip. Like he's just, you know.
Right. Exactly.
Agreed. Completely agree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do have a clip from. It's an interview between Jesse Ventura and Dr. Stephen Greer in regards to why this is happening, why the pressuring is happening. And I need to play this. So here we go. Oops. Hold on. Add to stream. Here we go. Well, hold on. That didn't work. I guess maybe we're not playing that one. Okay, so we're not playing that one. So what we're going to do is we're going to go from there. Marco Rubio is trying to push a bill through the Senate that looks at UFO frequency, origin, and national security threat, kind of like what Harry Reid was just mentioning. He wanted to look at national security threat. So here's that video. No, that's a commercial. Hold on.
Fast is so much faster than it used to be.
Here we go.
Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Marco Rubio wants a detailed report on what the government knows about UFOs. The Florida Republican pushing legislation that would force the Director of National Intelligence to detail information about UFO origins, frequency, and potential threat to national security. Earlier this year, the military released video of 3 encounters by Navy pilots that had been leaked online. This is not a joke story, and we're following it.
CBS 4's Jim DeFede spoke to Senator Rubio.
Jim, perhaps on a much lighter note, Senator Rubio wants naval intelligence to prepare a public report on UFOs. What's that all about?
So, you know, as the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Senator Rubio very quietly, just about a month or so ago, attached into a bill that's working its way through the Senate, this idea of wanting to know some of the aeronautical, differences that we're sort of seeing. What we call UFOs, he doesn't want to use that term. The Navy doesn't use that term, but he says there are objects flying over military bases, encountering civilian airliners, encountering military jets that they just cannot explain, these phenomena. And he wants to know, now, is it from another galaxy? Is it from China? These are the questions that he's trying to answer. And he says there's no reason to keep this information classified. He wants the Office of Naval Intelligence to issue a report, go through everything, release it publicly, and let's try to get some answers.
Look, here's the interesting thing for me about all this, and the reason why I think it's an important topic, okay? And that is we have things flying over our military bases and places where we're conducting military exercises, and we don't know what it is, and it isn't ours. So that's the legitimate question to ask. I would say that, frankly, that if it's something of outside this planet, that might actually be better than the fact that we've seen some technological leap on behalf of the Chinese or the Russians or some other adversary that allows them to conduct this sort of activity. But the bottom line is, if there are things flying over your military bases and you don't know what they are because they're not yours, and they exhibit potentially technologies that you don't have at your own disposal,
That to me is a national security risk and one that we should be looking into. And so that's the premise I begin with.
Let's clear this up. Who would be looking into this? And they would be generating some sort of a publicly available report on, you're not using the phrase unidentified flying objects. You have another euphemism for it, unidentified aerial phenomenon, which is not.
I didn't come up with that. That's the one that the military uses internally, and ultimately, that's the one we used. And what we're saying, so the Office of Naval Intelligence, has impacted the Navy for the most part. Have seen reports on this now for the better part of a decade. Other countries have had similar reports, and so. But for our perspective is, there is someone flying in the airspace that no one else is allowed to fly in, and we don't know who it is, and it isn't something we have. We need to know what that is. I mean, that's in my mind. I mean, I don't understand why we wouldn't want to know what it is. Maybe there's a completely sort of boring explanation for it, but we need to find out. And so that's really what we're asking about, and we're asking them to make public as much as possible that information. None of that really fits into the mold of classified per se.
All right, but what's your gut? Are we alone in the universe, or is there something else out there?
I don't have a gut feeling about it because it's a phenomenon. It's unexplained. I just want to know what it is, and if we can't determine what it is, then that's a fact point we need to take into account. I wouldn't venture to speculate beyond that.
So what I want to say about that one is even though he is researching the information and trying to push a bill through the legislature, I have to say that honestly, he is not making a speculation on whether we actually have UFO crash debris or UFOs. He's actually stating nothing. He's stating that he doesn't believe necessarily that they're UFOs. He just wants to make sure that they're not from China or Russia.
Which is logical.
Right, it is very logical.
Yeah.
We need to rule that out.
That and the fact that most politicians, that and the fact that most politicians aren't going to want to come out and just admit that they believe in aliens. I mean,
exactly. My question is, if this phenomena, as they talk about it, has been going on since the Second World War, and it's apparently a security risk, why haven't these so-called flyers of these phenomenon, why haven't they attacked us? That's my question.
Yeah,
I want to know.
Yeah, I do too. I had a video I was going to play, but what I'm going to state is this. According to Stephen Greer, the reason why the information hasn't been forthcoming really is not because of the fact that aliens exist or that there is crash debris, which we have confirmed tonight on this channel. What it is that our economy is based on a petrochemical system, which is global.
Right.
And if the government comes out and says definitively aliens exist, and it's all over the newspapers, okay, and they've been coming here for decades, if not hundreds of years, and they are here already, okay, what's going to happen? The first thing that's going to happen, outside of maybe some chaos and anarchy among the people, what's going to happen is scientists are going to ask, well, how did they get here? And then they're going to be let in on the information of their propulsion systems using zero-point energy. Well, zero-point energy, the United States and other countries discovered back in the 30s. They know how to use it. They know how to create it. That could change our world. If we were to use that, then we could become non-reliant on fossil fuels. So no more coal, no more petroleum, no more nuclear power, no more electricity, no more central billing system in regards to all those sources.
The complete crash of the energy market
so there would be trillions of dollars at stake. So it's a big financial thing. So what the idea is that the corporate financial bigwigs, the ones that are really in power, are the ones that are controlling the information. Not so much the military anymore, because there are generals at the Pentagon that wanted this information to get out. That's why we had the leak from the Pentagon recently. In regards to the actual information about where are the wreckage pieces, where are they being kept, what is being done with them, what have they reverse engineered? A lot of us in the UFO community are aware of the TR6 Tellus and the TR3B, which is supposed to be an advanced reverse engineered vehicle, or an alien reproduction vehicle, so to say. So that would be a craft that was developed from technology that was reverse engineered from alien debris or an alien ship. So that would make me think about Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar said he worked on alien ships and they were reverse engineering them at S4. So if they were reverse engineering them at S4, then obviously we had crash debris, wreckage, and we had discs. Yeah. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have had the TR3B. That's an anti-gravitic craft, meaning it actually can disrupt gravity and hover. The TR6 Tellus, I think I have a video of the TR6 Tellus. Let me find it here. And bring it up. And what it is, I'll tell you in a second here. The TR6 Tellus is the newest version that has been publicly released of a hypersonic, hyperatmospheric, anti-gravitic vehicular platform. So trying to break that down a little smaller for you, it's a transatmospheric electrogravitic low observability surveillance platform. That's what Tellus means. Okay, it's the shape of a dart, and a friend of mine caught some footage with infrared in the night sky of it flying over. So let's take a look at this, and you can see for yourself. This is supposed to be a reverse engineered alien vehicle, but it's man-made. Hey guys, it's UFO Man. Here's some footage of a TR6 Tellus ARV. It is a trans-atmospheric electrogravitic low observability surveillance platform, which employs electromagnetic, electronic, and visual camouflage systems. The entire airframe is a multi-band communication relay capable of interfacing with all current U.S. military satellite networks. The TR6 utilizes 4 anti-gravitic generators for propulsion. The Tellus platform is capable of operating in space as well as docking with military space stations via a ventral docking hatch. Could this footage actually be part of our U.S. Space Force or the secret space program? It is unknown at this time, but it is a good possibility. The TR6 Tellus runs about 1,200 feet on either side, 3 lights on either side, and in some cases, a single light in the center. Check it out, make an assessment, let me know what you think, and please leave your comments below. Okay, so this is the TR6 Tellus, and what I want to show, let's see if I can get it up close there. 3 lights on either side. They figure it's 1,200 feet. 1,200 feet would be 3 football fields. So that is incredibly long, okay? It's a triangular platform, more in the shape of a dart, kind of like the symbol in the middle of the Space Force logo, by the way. I always wondered if maybe they chose that symbol because of the TR-6 Tellus. But the TR-6 can reach Mach 20, and that's in the atmosphere. In low Earth orbit, it's classified, and we don't know exactly how fast it can go. It is said that with extra liquid oxygen on board, it can make it to the moon in 9 hours and back. It can go there and back in 9 hours. And that's the TR-6 Tellus. So if you've actually seen footage of triangular vehicles on the moon's surface, and they cannot be verified, these the footage that you're seeing, but if you have, it could very well be the TR-6 or the TR-3B. That's just one thing I wanted to bring up because it's very important that people know that we have had wreckage, we have had discs, we have had other shapes of craft like a top hat and a rectangular vehicle and whatnot. In fact, I think Bob Lazar said there were 9 different shapes at S4. So what I'm going to say is, if that's the case, then maybe they're trying to confuse us by the shapes when they fly them in space so that we don't know who they are or where they're coming from. And that's the big question.
Well, and like you said, I think it was on the last stream, though, you made a great point. I mean, think about alien spacecraft like cars, okay? You got Fords, you got Chryslers, you got, Fiats, and each one has a different, different design and, does something different or whatever. So why wouldn't their spacecraft be the same way? I mean, you got a scout craft, you got a, light craft, a heavy craft. I mean, think about it like that.
Yeah. I want to play something that is kind of a repeat of something from the past. But it will show 2 things. It will show that we have indeed had contact, or at least I think it will show that we have had contact with beings from somewhere else. That justifies the fact that they have ships as well that may have come in contact with our radar systems that got knocked out of the sky or been shot down. I remember that famous clip where it shows the curvature of the Earth in low Earth orbit. And it shows what appears to be an object approaching the curvature of the Earth. And then all of a sudden you see a flash down on Earth and this beam comes up. And the beam comes up and the object that is approaching where the beam is going to be turns around and goes back out into space. That shows you they're aware that we're trying to shoot them down. But anyways, let me play this clip. I'm sure you guys will be familiar with it. It is the Cumbergaz Turkey UFO encounter, but I have stabilized it so you can see it better. Here we go. This is a blast from the past.
I have a lot of friends in UFOs. I won't criticize my friends. But the superior, their psyops, I will criticize. Why do they do this? It's beyond my comprehension. They don't have to do this. The people want to know the truth. The young people want to know the truth. Give them the truth.
So that's the answer. These are another intelligence. They're ahead of us. They've proven it. In one simple reason. They can fly in space and we can't.
Straight up,
I love
this. This is just a replay. Yeah, this is a stabilized version and the original version down below.
Aynen. Aha. Ama yine oldu. Vallahi yine yakaladım. Vallahi yine yakaladım. Ara gidiyor. Ara gidiyor. Ara gidiyor. Tut sabit. Aynen öyle. Aha.
That's the original footage right there.
Yine buldum. Yine buldum.
In both footages, I can see like it looks like someone moving around in there.
Yeah.
Nedir bu? Böyle bir şey var mı? Yapma. Hadi.
This structure has some metallic surroundings, so they have to survive in space from debris in space, which keeps striking it constantly. It'll knock holes in it. So there's a little different strength there that will last a few more years. It is really almost a biological type of biological structure because the extraterrestrial fits in it, but made with a little more strength that's needed in the extra. Remember, these cloners that made these things made them in a way where they would fit in what they wanted to fit in. The ship itself is maybe a biological type structure because of the cell and the atom structure.
Okay, he was just describing the fact that maybe some of the wreckage we're getting is not necessarily metallic, that it could be a biomechanical structure. And that's pretty much why I played that one. And the fact that you need to know that there is indeed wreckage and crafts in the United States possession, in Britain's possession, in several different countries' possession. Russia, China, they all have them. We all have advanced radar systems that are knocking these things out of the sky for some reason. It's interfering with their propulsion systems and knocking them down. At least that's the theory that I've heard. What have you heard, Tommy?
I've also heard that as well. It's one of those things that who knows? I mean, you have to understand that a mechanical device is a mechanical device, probably the universe over. And I'm sure that, they have mechanical issues and problems and everything else. There's even a theory that the Roswell crash was actually two UFOs that collided and landed in two different places. I've heard that theory. So,
yeah, one was in Aztec. The second one crashed in Aztec on the same evening. Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows at this point? I mean, excuse me, the government's, obviously not going to be forthcoming with it. Jesse Marcel, I believe the guy. I believe him. I also believe Philip Corso. I believe them because, Corso more than Marcel, but I mean, they had nothing to lose. Why would they come forward? I mean, Corso was an American hero, for God's sake. He had the first nuclear clearances. I mean, this guy had a command of a nuclear battalion of artillery in Eastern Europe. They don't give you that stuff unless you're a pretty solid person, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I believe him. I believe what he's saying there. I believe, and I also believe that he believes what he's saying.
Well, one thing I want to say is there is an elite group. They're called the Blue Berets. The Blue Berets are within the United States Navy, not the Armed Force, Army, or Air Force, as you would think, but they are part of the U.S. Navy, and they are definitely in charge of UFO retrieval, and also in charge of cleaning up a crash site. So you can't go out there and find something yourself, as a civilian. We can't go out there and go, hey, I found a chunk of a portal.
Right.
You're not going to find it. They go out there and they vacuum the site. They actually vacuum the ground.
Yeah.
Think about that. They take out shop vacs and they vacuum the ground. So you don't see anything. There's nothing there anymore. And if you're lucky, it's embedded in the ground, and that's where you find it. The pieces of material that I showed tonight on this live stream were from the St. Augustine crash. And the thing about it is because it was in Mexico, as Tommy was saying, the United States forces that were down there looking at the site and recovering what they could had to book out of there quite quickly.
Right now.
Because they're in a foreign country. Okay, and because the dead soldiers were there, they didn't want to be held responsible for the death of those soldiers.
Yeah, can you say international incident?
Right. So they booked out of Mexico and they came back to the United States. So some researchers recently went down there within the last 10 years or so and went down there and scoured that site in Mexico, and they came up with that crash debris. If you have an inkling to go to St. Augustine, hey, that might be a shot to find some actual UFO crash debris, unless they've already saw this stream and gone down there to clean it up, which I highly doubt.
They're on the way right now.
Yeah, they're on the way right now. Yeah.
They're on the way.
Wait, I hear a black helicopter. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, yeah. The question is not whether we have crash debris or not, and whether Harry Reid changes his story or not. That's not going to change things. Too many people know that we have had our hands on crash debris and saucers. And when I say flying saucers, I don't necessarily mean circular craft. It could be any type of shape. Although flying saucer does refer to a round one, I guess. But there is a man-made craft that is an anti-gravitic craft. It's called the Flux Liner. If anybody's interested in learning about the Flux Liner, just Google Flux Liner, one word, FLUXLINER, and it will tell you about a workable anti-gravitic disc that the United States has had since about the 40s. I would say the late 40s, like 49, maybe 50, 51, that we've been flying around. And in some cases, when there are UFO sightings, where there are actual UFOs sighted, the United States will launch what they have as anti-gravitic discs to divert the attention away from the actual sighting. So you'll see these real discs, these round, typical, stereotypical flying saucer shapes, okay? And you go, oh, wow, it's a flying saucer. Oh, and you'll watch that and you'll be diverted away from the actual event. I found this out recently from someone in the military that actually was part of a unit that actually launched these vehicles. Now, some of them are drones, but they're military drones. So they're huge, but they're circular. So they look like flying saucers. So if you see something like that flying over your house, you're not going to question it if it's over 30 feet. You're going to be thinking, wow, 30 feet wide, that must be a real UFO. Even if it makes a humming sound, it might be a UFO. You're not going to think, well, wait a minute, the military is pulling a quick one on me.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem. We don't have a way of finding out exactly what is real and what isn't. Oh, and Mr. DBCOOPER says that Skinny Bob is his cousin. Well, I'll tell you what, if Skinny Bob's your cousin, I'd like to meet your cousin.
He's okay by me.
Yeah, I'd like to meet your cousin. Anyways, getting back to the craft. There is no question that we have debris and crafts. So when you hear Harry Reid deny in the news report that he ever said anything about suggesting the existence of off-world vehicles and wreckage. And going back on the statement that he gave prior to the New York Times, you know that there is a cover-up starting to occur again, or maybe even just continuing.
It's a continuance of it, I'm sure. Yeah, they got to Reid. They probably threatened the grandkids or something like that. Whatever. I mean, I wouldn't put anything past these people. And but he's definitely changed his tune. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's just. Do you wonder? Do you really wonder to yourself? Are we going to get the transparency we were promised? I mean, personally, I hope that we are. Seriously, Tommy, I'm hoping, and KJ, I'm hoping that we get the transparency we've been promised, like other countries have come clean. Why can't the U.S. do that? It's almost like the financial elite just won't let it happen, like Dr. Stephen Greer was quoting. They just won't let it happen because they're too afraid of losing control.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's an issue because we need to change our world. We need to change the way we do things because, look, we've been trapped with the combustion engine for decades.
Yeah.
And they've had a way to make cars run. And I'm not talking electric. I'm not talking hydrogen. I'm talking cars that run on water. Why can't we use water powered cars that have no exhaust, no bad things going out in the environment? I mean, that was derived from alien technology. So see, we've gotten a lot of things from alien technology. Of course,
fiber optics,
night vision,
printed circuits.
Yep.
Yeah, the printed circuit. That's kind of weird too, because the United States at one point was only looking at vacuum tubes and stuff for TV sets, and then all of a sudden, within a matter of what, 2 to 5 years,
quantum leap.
We went from vacuum tubes to solid state, which is what they called it, solid state.
Right.
Okay, so that was impressive, but it was like, how did they completely reverse their way of thinking? They would have had to have some assistance. It came from somewhere.
Oh, definitely.
And there was that book, The Day After Roswell. That gentleman that wrote that book actually stated that he was in charge of dispersing technology from alien wreckage to industry to have industry reverse engineer it. So see, we've had wreckage for a long time, so that is not a question anymore.
Bunch of it supposedly ended up at MIT. Bunch of it supposedly ended up at Harvard.
Lockheed Skunk, Martin Skunk Works.
All your big labs.
Yeah, all the big labs. Dugway Proving Grounds, everywhere you can think of.
Yeah.
My brother is a I would call him a computer engineer, but he's more of a technology engineer, technological engineer. And he's worked on several black projects. One of which he kind of insinuated, he didn't come right out and say it because of his NDA, but he insinuated that he had contact with reverse engineering a printed circuit that had come out of a crash somewhere in Wyoming. There are crashes that happen all over the United States, all over Mexico for some reason, and all over the place. I think there's even been a few in Britain and Australia even.
Alaska. Yeah.
What can you tell us about Australia for sightings and crashes, KJ?
The only thing that I can recall is my niece joined the army, and there's a place out in the middle of the desert. It's a big army base out there, and it's kind of secret. And she went out there for part of her training because she was going to become an engineer. And she said that they've got underground bunkers or underground storage, and she said they had something in there that they had it behind a great big lead lock, like a big thick lead door. And she said there was something in there, and when you went near it, the hair, all your hair went like that, and all on your arms, right?
Right.
And she said to the sergeant or whatever, "What's in there?" And he goes, "That's like a military secret."
So they wouldn't
explain. They wouldn't explain. And I said to her, "What do you think, Rebecca?" And she said, "I think they had a UFO in there, Auntie."
Wow.
Wow.
She was definite. Wow. She said because it just made all that, all your hair, like you said, even your eyebrows stuck out. Wow. You know, just everything was just like reactive. And she said she felt like her skin was crawling.
Almost sounds like radiation of some kind.
Yeah, but she said it wasn't radiation because it didn't have the radiation warnings, and they didn't have, you know, like, and they just didn't have radiation warnings on it or anything. She said, but there was an energy in there that she was almost like it was all like sucking her hair off her body. Yeah.
Right.
So
there was the Cash Landrum case in the U.S. where a diamond-shaped craft was being flown by human pilots with a nuclear reactor for an engine, and the nuclear reactor didn't work properly, and it radiated down radiation onto the people that saw it on the ground. And they said the same thing, that their skin was crawling.
Those two women, that little kid.
Right, the two women and a little kid. And those two women eventually died from their wounds, and the little kid's still alive, but he has some issues. But they tried to sue the government because there were a whole bunch of helicopters, twin prop helicopters that were trying to usher it to the ground, and they saw that. So they were trying to get compensation, and they did not. They did not, because obviously you can't sue the U.S. government. So, So in regards to what you were saying, that just backs up what you were saying. The other thing I was going to say is back when they recovered, I saw a video on a UFO recovery. Now, whether it was a real recovery or not, I can't verify, but the fact is they showed how they would do it. They would use long poles, two people one person on one end, one person on the other end, and they would lift the items on the ground with these poles. They wouldn't touch it. And they would place it on a flatbed and then cover it with some type of lead casing. So kind of interesting that they knew that in advance, or maybe they were just taking precautions. But this is what the Blue Berets would do. They wouldn't touch it. So maybe when these people, like those soldiers at St. Augustine, came in contact with the disc, when the portal was ruptured out, there may have been some type of gas or atmosphere on board that killed them.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tommy?
Well, I mean, that story's been around for a long time, and we definitely have some dead bodies when it comes to laying around crash sites. I mean, we know this. And, you know, the Mexico crash is one of them, but that's just one. There have also been other rumors about other people being exposed to a crash site or whatever and having problems. Like that ring. Remember that ring on the ground? That the mother walked up and touched it, and she had health problems ever since. You know, you would think that a person wouldn't want to walk up and touch something that was glowing on the ground, but she did that. And so, I mean, this is happening. We have documented evidence of this, and we have medical evidence of this.
Right. I think that curiosity kills the cat. You know, everybody is curious, and sometimes that's dangerous. I mean, it's like people going down to that nuclear reactor in Russia and taking a look at it, that city and whatnot. Yeah, Chernobyl. And that's really dangerous, but interesting nonetheless. Same thing with crash retrievals. If you are walking through the woods and all of a sudden you see this something in like a disc sticking out of the ground, what about that Russian Roswell? I mean, the disc that was in the woods.
Yep.
That was definitely a disc. It was wedged into the ground. They claimed they even found bodies there.
Yep.
And I've actually seen the bodies in some exclusive Russian footage. And if I find it, I'll post it up here on the next live stream. But I gotta say, there's definitely contact. You can't disprove that. If you're a rational thinking adult, you will realize that UFOs are real. Aliens have been here. They're continuing to come. What their purpose isn't necessarily known, except for maybe the treaty that was formed between, I think, Dwight D. Eisenhower at Muroc Air Force Base in 1954. And that was with a race of beings called the Ebens, supposedly. Ebens, E-B-E-N-S. They looked like your typical grays, but they weren't gray. They were more brown. And if I'm correct, they are called the Browns. But they have the same body shape as a gray. I've heard that grays are actually engineered by labs on Earth, and that they're a biomechanical being, and that they're programmed to operate on anti-gravitic craft that are made here, and that there are humans on board operating the ships as well. And that's why some people who claim they have abductions have actually seen humans on board. So I don't know. That's a theory. Can't be proven except through testimonies. And see, that's what we're left with in the UFO community is a lot of testimonies.
Yeah.
Like when I played that first video about confirmation of UFO crash debris, they were 3 testimonies, but they were from credible military people. And that's what makes it important that we understand that, yes, we have answered the questions. Do we have crash debris? What do you say, Tommy?
Absolutely.
What do you say, KJ? What do you say, KJ? Yes. Okay.
Absolutely.
Do we have recovered discs or craft?
I believe so.
Yep.
KJ. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So there, we have proven on UFO Man Live that we have crash debris and discs. Are we working with it? Yes. Are they trying to reverse engineer it? Yes. Is it successful? In some degree, maybe. But I think they're so advanced and so far ahead of us that the majority of the technology is out of our reach.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
And it's even been quoted by Luis Elizondo that they're way too fast. We don't know how they're operating their systems. In fact, he even said recently that one of the ships that they recovered had a being that was integrated into the actual ship. So it was part of the ship, controlling the ship. That was the pilot. So if that's the case, how do they operate it? That's what we want to know. So please subscribe to Tommy Highway TV and to Paranormal Down Under. She does have a channel, and I have one as well. So if you get a chance, please do so. In regards to that, hold on a second here. I'm going to go down here and see what I got. I've got some UFO clips I'd like to play and do a quick UFO review, and then we'll go from there. Let's see here. Okay.
Before you start, Tim, can I just share something?
Sure.
Years ago, when I was a little girl, I can't remember. I watched something with Dad because he was into this sort of thing too. And out in the desert, Simpson Desert, which is very vast here, it's the whole middle of Australia. They found Aboriginal carvings of that the Aboriginals had done of men in spacesuits and discs, flying discs, carved into the caves out there. And they're like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old. Yeah.
I've heard that. I've actually heard that.
Yeah.
That's proof right there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, there's all kinds of great carvings out there. Sure.
Yeah, and every country in the world has them.
It's a cigarette.
That's just awesome. Okay. This is a thermal FLIR footage of multiple UFOs filmed over my friend's house in Norman, Oklahoma on August 6, 2019. Check this out. Hey guys, it's UFO Man. Here's some footage out of Norman, Oklahoma, filmed on August 6, 2019, of what appears to be a bunch of orb-shaped or even disc-shaped black UFOs filmed with an Armasight thermal FLIR camera. These objects seem to be traveling in tight flight patterns. They could not be seen with the naked eye, only with the camera. These are flying over my friend's house. He sees them every single night with his FLIR camera. He has looked at this very closely and doesn't think that they're birds or bats. He has filmed birds and bats, and you can definitely tell the difference because you can see wing flutter. Whereas in this footage, there is absolutely no wing flutter. So what I'd like you to do is take a good look, make an assessment, and leave your comments below. Thanks. Now it's going to come back, I think. Yeah, I'm going to show it again, so you can see it closer.
If this is a FLIR camera, I just have a hard time believing it's going to be picking up birds unless they're really on fire or something.
Right. This is a FLIR, Armasight FLIR camera. Yep. But a lot of people have accused him that these are birds, and there's absolutely no think if these are actually UFOs flying overhead, and they can't be seen with the naked eye, and only with a thermal FLIR camera, then that just goes to show how many things could be flying over our head every night without our knowledge.
Yeah.
Kind of alarming if you think about it. Anyways, coming up are a few still shots so you can get a better look at the objects and make an assessment. Here we take one last look, a closer look at the objects that are in question. Several objects flying in tight military patterns, evenly spaced, until they separate and form two pairs side by side, and then stretch out again into a horizontal line. Very compelling footage, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
Please leave your comments below and let me know what you think, and we'll go. Anyways, those two there were forming into a shape of 4 of them. Go from there.
Yeah.
2 side by
And
side.
as
Always. Thank you.
And
For
then
watching. Straight line. See that?
Yeah.
That's just amazing that it can do that. I don't know what those are, but they're definitely not birds or bats. I agree.
Oh no, they're not birds or bats.
So I don't have an idea what those are, but that was a FLIR camera. And he actually had a really good channel, but because of all the ridicule and criticism, he shut his channel down. And I have the exclusive rights to what I have of his content. So I had to show that. Okay, here's a video I want you to see that's been going around recently. And I want you to see it because it is a news report about the coronavirus pandemic on the Navajo Nation and how they're losing water, having issues with getting clean water. But you need to take a look at this because in the sky behind the lady playing the drum, there is something crossing the sky. Check this out and we will take a look at it. Here we go. Hey guys, it's UFO Man. Here's a clip of a cylinder UFO caught on an NBC nightly newscast in regards to the Navajo Nation being ravaged by lack of water during the COVID-19 pandemic. Check this out in the clouds. You will see a cylinder vehicle moving from right to left in the frame. I have enlarged it, I have slowed it down, and I have adjusted the contrast a bit so you can see it a little better. Take a look, make an assessment, let me know what you think. Some people thought it might be a plane, but there's no tail. Reported to MUFON and is still
Moving awfully fast.
Coming up on a few still shots. Take a look, make an assessment, leave your comments below.
No wings, no tail. Almost a teardrop shape.
Pandemic. Let's go back to the end here. This sighting was reported to MUFON and it was reported to MUFON and it's not been identified. That's now one thing I wanted to point out is right above it there looks to be some type of blue.
Yes.
I don't know what that is. I have no clue. It might just be pixelation, but right above the white, there looks like a dark dome. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's barely visible. But anyways, this was flying over on NBC News, and I had to point that out. That was something that's been going around recently and unidentifiable. I have no idea what it is.
Interesting.
Here is a segmented UFO moving to the northwest over Sao Paulo, Brazil. There's been a lot of activity in Brazil lately, and I don't know about this one. I'd like to have you take a look. Here we go.
Introducing the Grip
Oops.
6 belt. The only
Sorry.
belt on the market with the
Need a belt?
pinch
No, I'm
guarantee.
just kidding.
No, it's all
Anyways,
decent.
okay. Here we go. Hey guys, it's UFO Man. Here's a clip out of Sao Paulo, Brazil on July 13th, 2020. Check it out.
Porra, é essa, mano?
I want to stop it right there for a minute. If you look at it, it looks segmented, like a bunch of lights grouped together. That's really interesting.
Não, Mara, olha pro céu, Mara. Olha o céu da tua moto lá. Caralho. Bravo, né? Olha, vou pra todo mundo aí. Que porra é essa, mano?
Here I've slowed it down so you can get a better look.
There's the same one in Australia.
Hey guys, it kind of
Is there?
appears to me like
Wow.
multi-segmented. Hold on a second.
Kind of like
Show that in a second,
if you ever
KJ.
were to see a house stucco on the outside, it kind of looks like that. You know how there's lumps everywhere and then spaces. That's kind of what this object looks like. I know that's a weird reference point, but take a look at it, make an assessment, let me know what you think. It's just odd in nature in itself, and that's why I'm posting it. This is over Sao Paulo, Brazil on July 13th, 2020. There were multiple witnesses, and the color was a natural amber. Here are some still shots.
Okay, so that one there. What did you think about that one, Tommy?
Well, that was some pretty strange lights. Not enough to call it anything, definite, but was definitely
Right.
unique.
You were going to show us something, KJ.
This was taken on the same day as this clip that you just showed over Melbourne, Victoria during our pandemic.
Wow.
Look at that. Huh.
The circular one.
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool. Very, very
See
cool.
how, see how it's fluctuating, the light? I don't know whether
Yes, it
I don't
is.
know whether it's the film, but I think it's actually the lights.
It's bright.
And
It
that
looks
was
like it's
on-
getting brighter.
Yeah. And that was on exactly the same night that you showed that clip that was taken here in Melbourne.
Wow. I've seen something just like that one before. And people used to think that it was a drone. But if you saw that there, then perhaps not. Was it, did you know anything about it? If it was really large or a lot of people saw it or?
This was seen. It was seen all over Melbourne. The actual city of Melbourne. They saw it right out to the western, eastern, northern, and southern suburbs.
Wow.
Just
Wow.
hovering, and that's over the main city. That's the main city of Melbourne there at the bottom.
Right. That's really cool.
Amazing.
Thank you for showing that. Really
You're welcome.
appreciate it. Okay, I have one here is a flashing UFO kind of pulsing like what KJ's is. And it's spotted near a casino over Commerce, California on June 10th, 2020. Check this out. Oh, not that.
B&H is here. From our homes to yours, as your
Look at this UFO. UFO right here. See it? Can't zoom in on it. There it is. Flashing lights. Look at that. Holy shit.
Wow.
UFO. You got next time you should have come to the casino with me. Oh goddamn. Holy shit. Where'd it go? Look at this UFO. UFO right here. See it? Can't zoom in on it. There it is. Flashing lights. Look at that. Holy shit. UFO. You got next time you should have come to the casino with me. Oh goddamn. Holy shit. Where'd it go?
I like his commentary.
UFO right here. See it? And zoom in on it. There it is. Flashing lights. Look at that. Holy shit. UFO. You got next time you should have come to the casino with me. Oh goddamn. Holy shit. Where'd it go?
Wow.
The fact that it was flashing got my attention. You don't see a lot of them just pulsing like that. You see them staying steady, but you don't see a lot of them pulsing. Yeah, Occam in the chat says it was KJ's UFO. Not exactly. Hers was more a ring of lights. That was more of a let's see here. Okay, let's see. I'm going to play one more here, and then we're going to take final comments from the panel and from the chat. Okay, here we go. One I'm going to play is this one. And this one was misidentified. And I want people to take a look at it and see how easy it is to misidentify things. Here we go. Oops. Why did I do that for? Okay. Here we go.
Hey guys, it's UFO Man. We have a really cool sighting out of Pontiac, Michigan. UFO seen by 75 and Grange Hall Road between 11:30 and 12 midnight on July 18th, 2020. Check it out.
I have to stop this for a second. My first impression when I saw this is that it was drones flying in coordinated, in a coordinated way in a circle. Check it out. Unsure though.
I'm at a loss as to what this is. If it is a real UFO, it's incredibly large. I kind of was leaning toward the possibility of it being coordinated drones flying around in a circle. Although I don't know if anything like that was happening in that area at that time. It seems like an odd time of night to be doing that. Especially at night, drones are supposed to have navigation lights, and these aren't exhibiting that. So perhaps it is a real UFO. I don't know. Leave your comments below and let me know what you think. And again, thanks for watching.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you what I found out about that. What I found out was my idea of what it was correct. It was a bunch of drones that were coordinated to fly in a circle. And how I know this is because in the area of where this was seen, there is a school that trains people on how to fly drones for drone shows. And they were actually out flying in a circle to see if they could fly it in a circle and make it look like a UFO and see if anybody would respond.
Wow.
And a lot of people did respond. So in that case, that is not a UFO. Those are coordinated drones. And what I want people to know is that it's very easy, even for experienced people, to mistakenly identify them as UFOs. So I want to thank everyone for being here. Do you have any last comments, Tommy?
I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and Tim, thanks for having me. It's been a great show. You know, back to our title, like Harry Reid. I mean, the guy changed his tune. This guy was absolutely rabid about UFOs for decades. Now all of a sudden he wants to. It's like he's backpedaling. I think they got to him.
Right. Yeah, that's the point of this whole show. Was he's backpedaling? He's changed his story. The creator of ATIP, the person who was responsible for going out and researching UFOs, is now saying that, oh yeah, they're not off-world.
Yeah, right.
We don't have any wreckage. So I'm only concerned about national security. That's the rhetoric of the military-industrial complex.
It's a cop-out.
Yeah, it's a cop-out.
Definitely.
Yeah. What do you think, KJ? What are your last thoughts?
Yeah, well, I agree that, you know, the guy reneged. You know, he was so convicted. The first time the conviction there, you know, this is real, and then it's like, oh, you know, it's not real, you know, blah blah blah. And it was, to me, he was just lying. You know, I have had experience seeing UFOs myself, so you know, I look at it from my own personal experience. I believe they're real. My mother used to tell me all the time that we had to come from some. My mother didn't believe in God at the time. We had to come from somewhere, and she believed that we came from outer space.
There is a theory that because of our skin and our intolerance to indigenous foods and things of that nature, that we may have been brought here originally. But over generations, we have tried to acclimate to our environments.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Acclimate to our food systems, and still people are allergic to things that are indigenous. And if you're from here, you should have a tolerance for most things, but a lot of us do not. So I don't know. You will have to think about that next time. Anyways, I want to thank Rene Cruz, who's a subscriber of my channel. I want to thank Occams Razor, who's a subscriber of my channel, for coming this evening. I want to thank everyone else in the chat that I saw tonight: Jay Birdmax, Inger Castleman, everybody that I don't mention right at the moment. Thank you for coming. DBCOOPER, thank you for the super stickers. Really appreciate it. Thanks for dropping in. Paranormal Underworld, it was nice to see you. Maybe next time we'll have you on the live stream along with Nicole. That'd be great. We all miss you. Hope you're having a great visit. And we'll see everybody next time. Please do me a favor and stop by Tommy Highway TV. He has a channel, and subscribe to his channel. KJ Paranormal Down Under is a channel. Please subscribe to her channel, and if you can, please subscribe to mine. And as always, thank you for watching, and good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, team. Love ya. Nice
Love
to
you
meet you,
too.
Tommy.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.